What the... This for me was a lesson that I should have learned decades ago from the legendary Stone Cold Steve Austin, in that you don't trust anybody. Now, there is a great Facebook group that I'm a part of involving 80s slashers where we rank new movies, recommend older ones for dorks like me with fledgling YouTube channels. And man, oh man, did a couple of people in there go in dry on me when they told me about Class of 1984. Dubbing it a solid slasher offering. That's what they said. A solid slasher offering. And me being a trusting guy and loving Summer of 84, which if you haven't seen Summer of 84, you need to go watch Summer of 84 as soon as you're done listening to this rant. But I bought into it without even thinking twice. No research, no vetting, nothing. Then the 98 minutes that followed were the worst of my life. And I have no problem telling you all about it right now. Let's fly through this, shall we? Because Lincoln High School is the backdrop here, and it's clear we've got one of those violent students versus teachers movies that have worked so well in the past with films like Lean on Me, Stand and Deliver, Dangerous Minds. But how in the hell is this a slasher? Maybe it's possible. I could think of a couple of really cool ideas centered around a high school with bad kids versus teachers, but that's just in my mind. Let's see how this one unfolds. We've got Mr. Norris rolling to school, and he looks fresh-eyed, really excited. The world is his oyster, endless possibilities, and immediately he has to boot a gang of really generic bad guys out of his music class. Now, the gang's leader actually looks like Crystal Lake alumni Tom Matthews playing the incomparable Tommy Jarvis, and that actually makes me hate this guy that much more. And hey, that was Michael J. Fox in that music classroom. That was a pretty cool little Easter egg, but the kids, the bad guys, have some sort of drug business downtown on the side, and they've got a downtown hideout. They're up to all sorts of illegal inappropriateness down there, and immediately they paint a target on the back of this new teacher. They follow him home, they spray paint his car, they spray fake blood into his eyes at the front of his house, basically trying like hell to make this guy miserable and hopefully, for their liking, get the hell out of Dodge. Now we get Roddy McDowall here from Fright Night Peter Vincent fame and countless other better movies. And for what he's given, he's fun. Not enough to save this movie, though. And I thought we were going to get a little bit of character development because it turned out that the gang leader, who I don't like, is a little bit of a piano player. He's got some serious skills when he sits down at the piano, and for some reason, as soon as Mr. Norris hears him playing piano, he just forgets all his transgressions and just gets lost in the melody of it all. And then they realize they're supposed to hate each other. They both stand up, they start screaming and yelling, and he gets thrown out of class again. This gang leader, though, it actually turns out he's got a mother who loves him. They live on a nice side of town in a very nice condo. Dude's a poser, total poser. But we get about halfway through this mess, and I started cussing loudly. Both loudly and under my breath a little bit at certain points of the movie because I realized that this is not going to be what I want to be watching. This is some knockoff of a better 80s movie about badass teachers doing badass things, and it's not a slasher film. Now, we're probably going to get a death or two. This is not a horror movie. And I've invested 50 minutes already in this. Major, major letdown. Now, there was a moment here when Roddy McDowall's teacher character comes back to his classroom only to find all the living animals that he had kept in that classroom have been murdered, killed, skinned, blood's all over the wall. It is a gruesome, gruesome looking scene that could have been plucked out of the Sawyer Family Kitchen and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if we're being honest. Still not a slasher film. And what exactly is the 80s obsession with rape scenes? Because we have one here when the gang breaks into Mr. Norris's house and they gang rape his wife. His pregnant wife. Now, I understand that this is one of the most violent acts you could perpetrate against somebody. I get it. I understand its place in horror movies. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable and uneasy, and I hate them. I've seen Last House on the Left. I've seen I Spit on Your Grave. This ain't those, but I'm just not a fan of that in my movies. And I know that it's got a place, you know, Irreversible with Monica Bellucci. I still hate the person that recommended that movie to me. I'm just not a fan. Final showdown in the high school, and it takes place during the recital that Mr. Norris has worked really hard to get some of his good students ready for. But the gang shows up there, after they've kidnapped his wife, after they've perpetrated this terrible crime against her in their home, and they send a Polaroid of the whole thing happening up to Mr. Norris, who's trying to get this recital underway. Naturally, he races off, chases after the gang to get his wife back, and the bodies start to fall. Now, slightly entertaining, the violence here, but it's just too little too late. And then once we get to the very, very climax of the film, where the leader of the gang is hanging through a skylight in the roof, and Mr. Norris is actually trying to save him after this guy has made your life miserable. He's orchestrated a rape on your pregnant wife, and you are going to reach your hand out to him to try to save his life. Luckily, it's a double cross. The gang member was just trying to stab him. Mr. Norris lets him go. And fortunately for all of us, the movie was over with. How fucking stupid. This is a 0 out of 10. I will never watch a movie this bad again, I don't think. I really legitimately tried to find a redeeming quality here so I wouldn't have to give it a 0, because what's the point of even doing a video if it's a 0? Point is, I watched it, I took notes, I spent part of my life on it, and I really want to warn other people against this movie. This is called Class of 1984. It was made in 1982. Nothing about it is coherent. Nothing is redeeming. I'm going to find the two people that co-signed this movie to me, and I'm going to write them both strongly worded emails, followed by a middle finger, a picture of me giving them the middle finger, that I won't do here because this is a family program. But this movie, I don't appreciate what you guys did to me, but I do appreciate those of you who are watching, listening to me throw this tantrum. This is Agent Gracefully. I'm Matthew Essex. Do not watch Class of 1984 under any set of circumstances. If you have to punish somebody, tape them to a chair. Now, you know what? Don't even do that. Nothing's worth that. Moving on. Y'all take care. I'll see you on the other side.